This late in my life, I kind of learned how to replace my inner voice. I think one of the things that I really wanted to replace was how I talked to myself, how I criticized myself. I can be very hypercritical of myself because of the expectations that were put on me that I then inherited to then put on myself. And that voice was my father. Granted, my dad has taught me and molded me to be the man that I am today up until this point. And then the rest was kind of just like teaching myself how to sustain for myself. And then I've kind of taught the rest of this stuff for myself. And whenever I make a mistake, I'm so used to hearing my dad's voice of you shouldn't have did that. And now that you've messed up, here's the next 30 steps that's going to happen. I think overthinking has also been one of those things that have essentially overridden my thought process, because I've always think about the end game. Chess was a very important thing for me as a kid when I learned how to be strategic with strategy and so forth. So chess and other strategy thought processing things were important with my dad when I was growing up, and he really wanted me to be very strategic because being growing up as a black man and trying to teach a young black boy how the way of the world works is one of those things that can be difficult, I guess, especially within his generation. Those inner voices, or that inner voice specifically, I needed to grow out of it. The same way that you grow out of training wheels, the same way that you grow out of maybe how you dress. You don't dress as like a kid anymore. And I'm not saying like the baby clothes. I'm talking about, maybe you dress up for your age, streetwear is cool. It has its place. And I think I got used to being in streetwear so much because of being in sports and so forth. But I think finding clothes that are appropriate for me, that I'm about to be 30 years old, just being appropriate in that way, and then changing my inner voice was one of those things where I needed to applaud myself, because whenever a good thing would happen, I'd be surprised. Instead of being, or if I was surprised with some type of twist. For example, some things were expected. So if I worked hard enough, I expected the end result to be what it was. You hit a new goal, or you hit your goal that you were trying to hit. That was supposed to happen because you took care of your body. Instead of saying good job, congratulations, and that was some of the harder things that I didn't really want to put on my wife. So I kind of had it in my mind, and some of these things are things that I ponder about all the time. So that's one thing that I've learned to do, replacing your inner voice. And whatever your inner voice ends up being, who is your inner voice? Is it your mom who's telling you that you've been wrong all this time, when you really need to replace that voice and let it be you? Sometimes it's hard to do that. I can only do one more squat when you just told yourself you're going to do 6. I sometimes punish, quote unquote, the voice in a sense where I'm like, oh, you want to stop here? I'm going to do 3 more. And it kind of like forces my mind to silence itself so that it doesn't keep getting in the way of the productivity that I want to have happen in my life. And I think those are the important moments of being able to really hone in on what your real goals are, mastering the mind, and then mastering the inner voice that you have, because that's who you're talking to the most. You're your loudest critic, because every time you do something wrong, you're the first one that knows immediately, and then you're the first one to tell yourself that was stupid, when in actuality you're like, how can I be better? Or, wow, am I okay? Like talking to yourself and telling yourself, are you okay? I think those are important things. I'm gonna keep doing these videos though. These are just little video essays, just talking out my thoughts. Y'all have a blessed one. Peace.